So I'm originally from New Hampshire. The first 22 years of my life I spent in New Hampshire, and I moved to New York right out of college. And I had 10 weeks of housing at NYU. And I lived there. And my goal was when I came here, I get a job and get permanent housing. And I was fortunate enough the first 2 weeks to get a job at Virgil's Barbecue. And they adopted me. And I was like, enough's enough. Find me permanent housing. So there were a few actors that were also worked as waiters at Virgil's Barbecue, and they helped me get a housing at a basement apartment at the bottom of a hill next to a cemetery in Fairview, New Jersey. That's where they live in this complex, apartment complex. And shortly after, they all went, there was three or four of them, they went on tour with the Fantastics to tour the country. And I was left in Fairview, New Jersey, by myself. And it's a sad place. It was right on it was sad for me. I don't want to say it's a sad place. That's not very nice. It's in the heart of Jersey. But it was a sad time for me, really, because I had I didn't have a friend there. I didn't have a friend at all. And it was convenient to get into the city. It was right on the bus line, New Jersey Transit, the 128, the 165, the 166. Those are New Jersey Transit slang for buses. And but there was nobody there. It was like a ghost town. There's people there, but it was like a ghost town. And then I found a friend that lived up the street, worked up the street in the Greek deli. Speaking of Greeks, the Parthenon Deli, and he was George, and he was the best. He was my age. He was a little older, I think, but just a sweet guy. His family ran it. Gus, Melody, Eugene, and him, and they ran this deli. But we really hit it off. And I used to go in there and get my bottled water because I'm no disrespect, but I was afraid of the Jersey water. So I would get bottled water because I thought that I wanted to be safe. So what I want to talk about tonight is just those Saturday nights. The Saturday nights, I lived in Fairview, New Jersey for 4.5 years. And it was, like I said, probably the loneliest I've ever been in my life. This was loneliness beyond. I just miss being home. I miss my friends. I miss my family. And so on Saturday night, in those 4 years, I worked at Virgil's Barbecue. I was an NBC page. I then worked at NBC Sports on weekends. And I usually worked every Saturday. So I would go into the city during the day, work, and then I would come home. And it was like I made myself do this. I would shower, and then I would go up the street at around 6:30, and I'd go see George in the deli. And I talked to him a little bit. And I kind of dressed up like I had a little collar shirt. I'd talk to him. I'd bring my backpack. He would give me a Dr. Pepper in a bottle, 20-ouncer, put it in there. I'd go on the bus, and I have to go anywhere. You have to take a bus. So I get on the bus. I go 10 minutes into West New York, Gutenberg. I believe they call it Guttenberg, but it looks like Gutenberg, like Steve Gutenberg. And there's a place there called the Galaxy Triplex. If you're ever on the Manhattan side, look to Jersey. There's these 3 tall buildings. And what that was it was like a mini mall inside. And when I say a mini mall, it really wasn't a mall like the Jersey Mall. It was literally 2 restaurants, a pizza place, and a movie theater, and a place to get your eyes checked. And I think a flower shop too, and a dry cleaning place. But that was their mall. And I would go into a place called the Green Kitchen. And there was a gentleman that worked there that was the manager of this restaurant. His name was Muhammad. And I'd always talk to Muhammad, and he would listen to me. He was just like really fascinated that this kid from New Hampshire came to New York, and now he was like there. And like, he's like, do you have any friends? Or I go, no, I'm here every Saturday night. And the thing with him is for 3 years, there's a shout out to Muhammad, right before Christmas, like that last meal, because I go 2 or 3 times a week there. He would give me a free Christmas dinner. He would like, this is on us tonight. So it was like, Muhammad, I'd have filet of fish dinner with broccoli and rice, because a little fried, you're not going to have French fries. You're going to have a little rice and broccoli to make it nice. So sometimes I want to admit, sometimes I would have cheesecake. Then I'd go downstairs and I go to the movies. Let's go to the movies. And I go and Connie, the sweet woman that worked at the little concession stand, would get me my buttered popcorn. And I mean, she would, you know, she give me, you know, I get my money's worth. I'll just leave it at that. A lot of butter. She put the butter in. If butter costs more than popcorn, she put a lot in. And it was like almost like at the basement of the Galaxy Triplex, and they brought in this huge like organ. It was like a huge pipe organ. I don't know how they did it. And there was a guy that would come out, Jeff Barker. He would come out and he'd play the piano. He'd play the piano, play the organ, and he'd play for like a half hour before the movies. And it was fantastic. Nobody appreciated poor Jeff. He'd be done and people would be like, I'd be standing up, Mita, I'd be standing up and I'd be clapping. Bravo, bro. And he would always kind of like, yeah, whatever. He like a real superstar. He would blow me off, and I love that. And then I'd watch the movie, saw a lot. There was like a $5 movie theater, so we're not getting the Academy Award winners, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the night out. As much as a lonely guy can enjoy a movie on a Saturday night by himself. And I'd go out, I would drink my Dr. Pepper, didn't have to buy a soda. I saved some money right there. Spent all my money on the cheesecake, and then they had chocolate cheesecake too, the Green Kitchen. So when the movie was over, back outside to wait for a bus for 20 to 30 minutes to take me back to Fairview. And when I got back to Fairview, I would always be like this, hoping that the light would be on at the Parthenon Deli. So the bus would let me off. I'd walk across the street and I'd look in. There was George in there. And sometimes I know he'd wait. He'd wait for me. He'd close up shop and just watch some TV. So I'd knock on the door. He'd give me a couple of Twinkies and we would watch TV just together. You know, so he'd just wait for me. And he had a box of VHSs of Columbo. We both loved Columbo. And, you know, it'd be like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock at night. And he'd be like, you don't want to watch another one, do you? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I got nothing tomorrow. You want to watch another one? And we'd watch them till like 3 or 4 in the morning. George and I watching Columbo. And then finally, like George would be like, dude, I mean, I've been here. I got to be in 3 hours. I got to go home and sleep. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, no problem, George. So I'd walk down my little hill, down next to the cemetery where my apartment was. And I go into the basement apartment and I'd lie on my bed. And at that time, again, talk about lonely. That was the loneliest portion of my week. After that, and looking back after all these years, over 20 years now since I've been in Fairview. Yeah, at the time there were really sad moments and sad times and lonely times, but getting to interact with those quality people is my introduction to this journey I've had being in Jersey now for over 24 years. I feel really lucky. I feel really, really lucky.